Okay, this is it. Are you ready? Welcome to Art School Live. This is Joanne Manji. And look at this. My guest is already on screen here. It's Stephanie Paige Thomson. How did you rate to get in the beginning of this thing?
Like, I don't know. They just special treatment, I guess.
Oh, okay. Oh, can I do that too? Oh, okay. We got a great show planned today. But first, before we do anything, you have to see the dogs. You have to meet the dogs. Hey, guys. Hey, Welly, come over here. Come here. All right, they're not staying, so don't get too excited. And then that's Luna in the back. If you saw my Facebook post today, you know that she's in the doghouse because she just dug a deep pit in the off the patio. So anyway, so today we have Stephanie Paige Thomson, if you've been paying attention. Yeah, okay, here's some of her work. Nice, right? Yeah, if you don't know who she is, you will learn today, and you'll be seeing her name a lot in the future. The only problem is she's young, she's beautiful, she's a great painter. I'd hate her if I didn't like her so much.
Thank you. I think
I've always told my friends I need younger friends. So so.
Hilarious.
And maybe later we can get Amandine to show the photo of when we first met, which apparently our anniversary is tomorrow. There we are at Putney Painters.
2017.
You were 17. Oh, now I see.
No, this was in 2017.
Oh, 2017. Wait, how old were you?
I was 20.
Oh, you were actually 20. Okay, I thought it was just under 20. Okay, well, that's still bad. So it's still not good for me. But you earned a place in my heart, because the first thing you did when you met me, the first thing you said was, "I love your work," in that enthusiastic Midwestern way that you have. And so I knew right then and there that we were going to be best friends.
And we really have been. Like, we've gone stretches like 3 years without seeing each other. And every time I see you, I'm like, she might not remember me. And I think I said that one time, and I never said it again because it was like a 3-year stretch. And you were like, ridiculous. I know everything about you. I've been following you this whole time. And I was like, okay.
Okay, so listen, tell everybody what you're going to do. And then see, they're leaving. Okay, we got rid of the rabble rousers. So
no, we didn't.
Well, you know. So tell everybody what you're going to do, and then we're going to cut away because we have a few things to do, because I want to keep Eric happy so that he asks me back. Okay. All right. So go. What are you going to do?
Okay. So I have this portrait that I started from life last week. We only have 40 minutes, so I wanted to do something different than just a start, because I feel like I've seen 100 of those. And I often get to a point from life where I'm really happy with the start, but don't have enough time to complete it. So I'm going to take it from this sort of awkward, incomplete stage to complete for everybody, because I think it's interesting and something that you don't normally see or talk about, like how you keep the freshness once the model is gone.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea, because, you know, all of us, the starts are fun because we're not really committed, and they look great. The starts always look great. And then it's that next phase and then bringing it to finish, which is really difficult. So this is going to be great. Okay. So today, Amandine, let's get started.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rhodes. Now, here's your host, Eric Rhodes!
Joanne Manji! Oh my God. Eric, I love Eric. I have to tell you that I just think he's a great guy. When you say he's got a heart of gold, he really does, because he's helped a lot of people. And I can never say anything bad about him, although I will tease him incessantly, but he takes it because he really helped me get launched. So how can I not love this guy, right? So anyway, today, the thing about this show is we have a lot of giveaways every day. So today, there's a 1-year digital subscription to Fine Art Connoisseur. How cool is that? And then, so don't forget, put comments in the, make comments today. And the winner of yesterday's subscription is Carolyn Zanni from Maine. We love Maine. And she's got an email to claim the prize at asl@streamlinepublishing.com. And and then another ebook, 10 Steps to Become a High-Level Figure and Portrait Artist. I mentioned this one the other day. You go to realismlive.com/ebook. I'm going to do that myself. I haven't done it yet because I've been a little busy, and then my husband gave me his cold yesterday. So, but I'm doing good. And then the other thing is, I know Eric loves to mention, here it goes, subscribe to Art School Live at Eric Rhodes on YouTube. It's YouTube. Yeah. He likes to get all those subscribers. So he's got his numbers are really up. And then I'm not going to forget, because I keep forgetting, go to my website, joannemangi.com, if you want to know what I'm up to and what I'm doing, because I got a workshop coming up in November. It's called Zooming Zoo Animals. And it's a really cool thing. It's with our zoo in Connecticut. We do live streaming of the animals. We do an educational piece, and then I paint. This is the third one we're doing. I didn't think I was going to be doing another one, but we had a lot of requests, and I go, okay, fine, I'll do it. And the zoo loves doing it. So it's a lot of fun, and it's over 3 weeks. So go to the website, because there'll be links to that, and then you can see what else is going on. And then I guess I'm going to mention too, because I get it out of the way, my videos. So there's one on horse portraits, and then the dog portraits, which is, they consider that a classic, and they keep like reissuing it, which makes me feel really good, because people are enjoying it. And Christmas is coming up. Don't forget. Okay, so I think I got it all out of the way, and we're all set for Stephanie Paige Thomson. Stephanie, take it away.
Awesome. All right. So I've got my palette up here so everybody can hopefully see, and my painting right here. Right off to this side, I do have my iPad with the photo reference, but I won't really be utilizing it that much because my drawing is pretty much set at this point. And the photo, there's like a certain freshness to your painting that the photo just never has. So that's the first thing I'm going to just put out there, that I have it here, but I won't necessarily, let me see if I can show it to you. There it is right there. I won't necessarily be working on it too much. So I started this from life. I have a group that I host every other Wednesday in my basement of my house. I started this when I was, I guess I had to have been
a baby.
Yeah, I was like 17 and I started this. So like 6 years ago, I was living with my parents, and my studio was in their basement, and I came home from Putney. It may have been the day that or the trip that we actually met. No, it would have been before, because I was younger. So anyway, so I was obsessed with needing to get more model time. So I started my own group and invited artists to come. And what do you know? They came, and they still come. And so we paint together. And so I've kept doing that. So this is from that session. Oh, get what it's called. We call it the basement brushers, because we started in a basement and then now we paint in my basement. So it just works. So I started this in 3 hours, and I loved the start. I loved where it's going. I've got this really just gorgeous model who comes and sits for me every once in a while. He's also an artist, really nice guy. So but I just couldn't get as far as I wanted, because I'm leading it. I'm in charge of the model. I'm in charge of all the artists, and there were multiple there. So sometimes I just paint slower than I want to because of outside factors. But I want to finish it, and I don't feel like you see a lot of, like finishing the next day. And I got to say this, Joanne, I don't know if you have thoughts about this. Like when you see people working on paintings the next day, oftentimes I want to tell them stop because you're going to maybe ruin the freshness. Like just leave it as is. But
Oh yeah.
recently I've been pushing that because, I remember being at Portrait Society and hearing Rose Franson say, you don't even know what overworking is until you've done it 100 times. So I've been pushing that boundary a little bit. And yeah, I've ruined some paintings, but I've also learned how to, make them better the next day. So, okay. So I'm not working with solvent these days. Do you use solvent, Joanne?
I've been using Galkid gel.
Yeah.
Actually.
Okay. So I use something similar. So up here in this corner, I have Neo McGill, which is kind of similar, I feel like.
Okay, well, let me tell you something. I used to use Neo McGill, but do you know that Galkid gel is the same thing, but it will retain your brush strokes better?
Well, thank you for this. That's worth my price of admission to get here today to learn that. I appreciate that. Galca gel. Okay, I will be going to the store and getting some. Well, I've not been using solvent because I've noticed I'm just super sensitive to it. So I've just got some of that Neo McGill, which I'll soon replace with Galca gel. No, I'm just kidding. But not really. And I haven't toned my canvas because I wanted to just see what would happen by just working right into white. I like to do that sometimes. The thing about that is you have to really make a concerted effort to go dark enough. And I want to cover up some of this white so that his skin, which is the lightest light, really in the painting shines. So I'm going to go around and start adding that in with some expressive marks because I like the energy that's happening. But I want
That
this
looks like a small brush, my dear.
I know, it kind of is. I was actually looking around for one of my larger ones, and all right, here, I will appease you and be a good example for everyone. Aha, this one's slightly bigger. Okay, here we go. How's that?
Oh, I feel much better now. Much better.
This is good. You're keeping me accountable. All right, so let's mix this up. Just a big pile here. I want to keep my color. All right, so I want to come around and I want to go lighter back here. So I'm going to keep the darker up front here and just cover up some of this white that's happening in an expressive way. Because this is how I would be working like I'm having a heart attack when I'm working from life. It's always what I say. I'm like, it's like I'm having a heart attack when I'm painting models from life. It's just so exciting and stressful. And then the timer's going and you're just like, there's just so much going on. But that's what I love the most because I used to think like, oh, I'll paint best when I'm in my studio and it's all contained. And that's just not true. It's just, I definitely paint the best when I'm in situations where I'm just somewhat stressed or have a deadline. And because if you wait, Joanne, have you found this? If you wait until you have the perfect situation, you'll never paint because it never will come. It never will come. You'll never
comes. Yeah.
Never feel perfectly confident, have the perfect amount of time, have all the tools that you really want. Just won't happen. So you better just go.
Why don't you just mention what colors you're throwing into that mix? Because people are going to want to know that.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
I know it's red, yellow, blue.
So I've got transparent oxide red that I'm using to kind of warm this up and keep it a dark value. I've got my ultramarine blue and burnt umber, raw umber, and viridian. And I'm also throwing in raw sienna. If I was a color,
So I am sorry to interrupt, Stephanie. Stephanie, can you hear us? It looks like your AirPods disconnected, so we can't hear you anymore.
Oh. Sorry about that. Let me connect them. Let me connect. They should still be there. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, sorry, that's so bizarre. Don't know what happened. Maybe my husband's phone connected then for a second. That can happen sometimes.
Could be. Yeah.
And then just some
So you were saying
titanium.
about if you could be a color.
Oh, you missed all of that. That was juicy
We
stuff.
missed
Okay.
all of that.
So sad. Okay, if I was a color, I would be raw sienna. I love it. It's like I said, my comfort color. It makes me so happy to have on my palette, and like once I squish it out, I feel ready to go. So I sometimes take breaks from it because I want to overuse it, and then my paintings end up like really way too warm. So I have to be careful and not just like go into it too much. Okay, so on this side, I want to bring it darker so that his hair, when I come in and put some details of his hair, they show up like we see Sargent doing this. He'll change the background around the head to show the form better. So it's dark against what will be light here. And then I want it to go lighter over here because the hair, which I'm about to put in, is going to be darker against it. So it creates this like interesting dichotomy in the painting. So I'm going to go in. I've got some kind of color notes. He has like a, dirty blonde hair. So I'm going to mix using my raw sienna, of course, my transparent oxide red, and I need to pull this down a little bit. It's a little bit too, oh, I think I disconnected again.
Yeah, but we're still hearing. We're,
okay.
It's just coming off the computer, I guess.
Trouble. Okay, so I'm going to mix up a big dark here and give him a back of a head, because part of what makes me sad about this is he's just got this like nothing happening to his head, and I was so invested in working on his face when he was here from life that I didn't get to it. So I'm just going to think not about hair, I'm just thinking about the shape of his head and carving that in with my big brush. Joe,
I see that.
You're proud of me for that.
Yes, I am.
Coming in down here, okay, to create a hair shape. I'm not trying to paint all the individual strands. He does have really beautiful hair, but I'm just trying to put in the right value here. And I think it's kind of interesting to paint against the form sometimes. I try to do this on purpose. Hair goes this way naturally, but I like to paint it this way, at least like as the base, to kind of create more structure. It makes it stronger. And I did that over here, if you can kind of see. So I'm going to come up here. I'm going to bring it slightly lighter as we come around. This is the shadow side.
It kind of helps give you a little volume.
It does. It does. Because how many paintings have you seen where it's just like they have great structure here, but then the hair just looks like a floppy dead fish coming down because they've, you think it goes this way, so you have to paint it that way, and you really don't have to do that. You don't have to do that with anything, really. I like to take chances and see if I paint this the opposite way of how it actually exists, how will that happen? So I've greened this up a little bit, folks, and I'm just going to come in and make it a little bit lighter because, again, this is not the action side of the portrait, right? The action side is right here. So I want to have interest over here. Like, I don't mind some of this white coming through because it's interesting. But I want it to sort of be the rest so that this action can be the main character and not competing against, this is the supporting cast. We know this is hair because we know from just birth to start recognizing faces. And I want to jump in here and get to this neck part. But before I do that, it's just so obvious that this needs to be put in first. So I'm going to work from most obvious to least obvious. And if you can tell, you can't tell necessarily, but I'm not really looking at my photo reference a whole bunch because I've already got a great base here. And I feel like sometimes people, sacrifice the painting for the photo reference. Like you are a copyist. We're not printers, we're painters. I'm not a photographer. I wish I was a better photographer for the sake of, sometimes my photo references being better, but I'm not a photographer. So I don't have to be a slave to everything that's there. I don't have to put every curl in. I want to suggest his curl that he has, but I don't need to put everything in. So I'm just glancing at it every once in a while. Okay, there's already so much more structure happening here. This is looking brighter because it's not competing against all of that white that was just showing through. So I'm going to just come in and kind of break that up, bring in some kind of interesting color around here, brighter green to kind of just add some interest. You can't add interest at the very end. You can't add more color. You can't add better brushwork at the end. It has to happen. I realize we're at the end of this painting, but we're very much like sort of still blocking in these areas that didn't get very much attention. And I've never forgotten that. I can't remember exactly who taught me that. I was taught exclusively through workshops. So I've got a great list of artists who I've studied with. It may have been Susan Lyon who taught me that. You
I
know,
was
if you
just
don't
gonna
have,
say it had to be Scott or Susan.
yeah, you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was Sue because she was, exaggerating the importance of the start,
Yeah.
which is so important. You can't add more interest at the end. Okay, so I want to come in here and give some details to the hair. I'm really liking how it looks. I'm looking at my camera too here a little bit. This stroke is jumping out at us. I'm going to see if I can make it not do that by just brushing across it, because it really is the same value sometimes, just the direction of your stroke. Yeah, see, it makes it fall back into, it appears so much darker just because of the way it's going. If you just brush across and get those ridges down, it'll lay into the shape. It'll lay where it needs to go. But back to what I was saying about can't add excitement at the end necessarily. You got to just have that along the way. It's always easier to calm things down than to liven them up. But yeah, so I studied exclusively, for those who don't know, through workshops. So when I was 17, I started painting, and I was always kind of like arty in my art circles or whatever. Just kind of quieting this down so that there's not competition over here. Thinking about it going into the hair being a soft edge, because hair is soft. Wouldn't make sense for that to be really hard. Okay, there we go. And so I went around the country for 4 years, like you would if you were in a traditional school, and studied with the best of the best, in my opinion. And that's how I met you, Joanne, because I was there studying in Putney with Michelle Dunaway, my lovely friend, and I think also Rob Liberace. And then I was stayed to paint with the Putney painters, and you were there. So lucky me.
Rob's
so
gonna be up there again in a like another week or so.
I know, and I want to go. I was like, oh, for old time's sake, that would be so special. Okay, so this is a light and shadow painting, right? It is, there's multiple different kinds of painting: local tone, backlit, equalization paintings, or light and shadow paintings. You have one main visual intention, and it has to do, you can have multiple, but what the light is doing is going to direct how you organize your shapes. So this is light and shadow. So every form is describing light hitting it and then the shadow it casts. So I'm looking and I'm seeing light and shadow hitting all these forms pretty nicely, but it really falls apart right here. It gets really loosey-goosey, and this shape is like way too much tension taken away from the face. And I can see light and shadow happening on the shirt slightly. I'd love to refine that, but I don't see light and shadow on the hair as much. So I need to keep that intention going all throughout. Like if you look at Rembrandt paintings, he was just the master of light and shadow and keeping everything, every single form has a light, a half tone, a core shadow, reflected light, and his paintings glow because of that. So I want that similar effect. So I need to really address this chin area here. And quiet down these edges. I love this shape of his, whatever ligament or piece of anatomy that is.
Called. Okay.
Yeah.
I need you to take a breath.
Sorry, am I going too fast?
No, because I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
Susan Geis wants to know, what's an equalization painting?
An equalization
I've never
painting.
heard that. I've never heard that term.
Well, there you go. You taught me about the Galca gel. I'll teach you about equalization.
Okay.
Equalization paintings are when nothing is as important as anything else. So like a Mark Rothko painting would maybe be an equalization painting because it's an equal distribution of shape and color, and no color is more important than anything else. But also, if you've ever seen like The Hermit, a painting by John Singer Sargent, it's at the Met. It's that
Oh yeah.
forest scene.
Yeah.
And as the longer you look, the longer you realize, oh, there's a deer in there. Oh, and there's a guy, maybe that's why it's called The Hermit, crouching in the corner. And then, oh, there's a second deer. So the longer you look, the shapes are so intricate. There's things you didn't even realize. And when you step back, nothing really stands out as the main character above anything else. So that's equalization.
You know who can do that? Kwang Ho can do. Well, Kwang Ho can do a lot of things.
He can do anything.
I've seen some of those forest paintings that he.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So I'm teaching a workshop next week, and I've got a whole presentation that I'm going to give about this to help people. You know, if you know what your intention is before you come to the canvas, like I knew it was a light and shadow painting. That is my whole goal. If you know that before, all these questions are, solved. And I have the painting by Kwang Ho he does equalization so well. I think it's harder than doing, something like this where you have you have to be able to balance your shapes so that no shape is, more important than anything else.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have another question? I'll be quiet.
They want to know about your palette. They want to know the size of your palette, the tilt, backed and white size. Oh, heck, I could answer that. Okay, go ahead, answer that.
The size of this palette?
Yeah, what's that, 16 by 20?
I think it's a little bit bigger than 16 by 20. Here's a 16 by 20 painting. Let me see. Oh, yeah, no, it is. Perfect. You're right. 16 by 20. My dad actually made this for me. So I used to just use a piece of glass, like laying on my palette because I use a French easel a lot. But inevitably, my painting would like fall off of these little things. Eventually, I'm going to get a big girl easel, but it just hasn't happened yet. But so I still use these French easels, but my painting would fall off and it cracks my palette because there was no support. So I asked my dad if he would make like this cradled glass
it works
palette
great,
for me.
and it's great for demos.
Great. Yeah. Well, yeah. It's working. People can see everything. Okay.
Yeah, because people want to see the palette. They want to see the palette, and it's not fun to look at a little snapshot in the corner.
Right. And the palette is so important. Okay. Your palette is, if this is a mess, this will be a mess. And I'm preaching to myself here when I say that, because so often I'll be in the middle of a painting session and then realize like, well, crap, this is like it's a mess. No wonder my painting is like, falling into shambles here. I can't keep things organized. So you can see I kind of try to work with this, like I'm working all in the flesh here, going from shadow to light. So I'm keeping, here's my halftone area here. Here's my deepest shadows that I'm working with right in this little area. And then my lights. And I'm using all just one brush. And I'm able to do that because I'm wiping it off.
Yep.
Very consistently. I'm like, I would be the best Viva paper towel, ambassador ever. Okay, so let's jump into this. I just saw a comment saying, why so many white spots? Well, I kind of like that broken up feel to it. I don't want too many areas where there's a bunch of white showing through, but I like the texture.
It can energize the painting.
It can energize the painting. I've even done it in the past. Like I'll show this really quick. You can do it the opposite way, where you tone a canvas and then leave some areas where that tone comes through. I knew the gentleman I was having come, and he was very pink. And so I toned it green on purpose so that there would be this, vibration in the eyes.
Yeah.
With that color. And I know that here too. I like that vibration. Okay, so let's talk about this hair really quick. Unless there's something else I need to do, Joanne, you let me know.
No, not yet.
Okay. And how much
I,
time do
I
I
think
even?
the hair is a good place to go.
Yep. People are probably like, I'm itching for her to get to this hair. Okay, so he's got these curls. So how am I going to organize these curls? Well, what I'm not going to do is go and make like this sort of a thing,
Oh, no,
happening.
you're not? Oh, gee.
That could be, really fun, but it would actually not be because it will ruin. So
Well, see,
I'm
people
not
can
gonna.
learn something here, how to paint a curly dog.
Oh, hey, no, that's
Yeah,
you. That's your area. I'm not gonna
yeah.
encroach on your market, sister.
Hey.
See, I'm not trying to steal your thunder here. Okay, but I'm gonna think about the highlight, halftone, core shadow of the form of the hair, not thinking about the, I'm painting a curl. I'm trying to think about, I'm painting this form. It's hair, it's soft. Okay, so there was this shadow here in his hair from like where his sort of bang area was parted. So I'm going to try putting that in as an abstract shape to define this other curl that was coming around and this curl right here. You can see I kind of had the highlight coming around from this curl right here, but it's a little too intense. So I want to keep that form happening, but I want to make it softer and less of the main character because again, his face is the main character. So I'm going to mix up this sort of neutral yellowish blondish color and come in here and paint against the form and see what I can do here to mimic that barrel as his hair curls around, okay? I'm going to warm it up and take it down in value, a little bit lower here, add some green. There's so much green in blonde hair, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
At least I see it. I'm sure.
Well,
Do you find that with dogs?
the first time I saw it was I took a workshop with Scott Burdick,
Yep.
and we had a blonde, and he really taught me. After that workshop, I used much more paint than I used to, but
Oh, yep.
that was maybe 10 years ago.
Yep.
And that's what he did. He was using green. And I was like, oh, green. And then you see what he did with it. It was like, duh, okay.
Right. Why did I not see that before? All of my sickly yellow-haired people, now I
Right.
understand why they look like that.
Right.
Okay, so I'm keeping my light and shadow intention here. I wanted to find some of this hair along the edge. And I want to keep it, exciting and keep this sort of energy that's happening. I kind of like how it's got this sort of like, I don't know, to me it feels sort of like old worldy a little bit, it's like got some age to it.
Yep.
So I'm going to go in here and just highlight some of these areas slightly. I'm not going to go as light as I see it in my photo that's over here because that's going to just draw the attention away. I'm editing my photo.
Yeah.
Hey,
Steph.
I don't need.
Steph.
Yep.
So, can we take a break here? Because I need to, I'm under contract here. I have things to do.
Yes, totally.
Okay, so don't do too much. We want to talk about Realism Live. We want to make sure that gets in. I don't know if everybody's tired of hearing it, but we have to do it because it's coming up. So there's only maybe 3 weeks before it happens. So if you haven't signed up and you're interested, go to realismlive.com. You can get all the details. Oh, here we go. Oh, we'll just share the details. You can see all these great painters. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that you can see that on the website, but I think there's replays, so if you missed one, because it's 3, 9th, 10th, and 11th, with the 8th being the Essential Techniques Day. So if you have to get life happens, family happens, if you have to get pulled away for lunch or something like that, because like my husband never skips a meal. So you can, see the replays on them, but you get to ask questions, live time. And then usually at night they do a get together. I haven't looked. I mean, I get it confused with, I probably read it, but I know that's what they do in the past. They get everybody together. So let's run the promo for this so that I don't have to keep talking. How about that? That's a great promo, by the way. We're not screaming at you. It just gives you all the information. There's only one problem. My name's not on that list. I see a real problem there, but anyway. So look at this. Get 10% off with the code Manji. So if you haven't signed up, you should. And I'll tell you, there's not that much of a span between how those people paint and how you can paint. The difference is, and I think you're seeing it with Stephanie, is they're fearless is a good word. They're not afraid. It's just paint. You can move the paint around. Kathy brought that up yesterday. It's just not a big deal. If you put it in the wrong place, you just change it. So going to these things gives you the opportunity to imitate what these people do, because maybe you don't want to necessarily paint exactly like them, but if you can imitate, then it's kind of retrains your brain, your eye-hand coordination. I mean, that's the way I look at it. And then you go from there. You develop your own way of doing things. So I guess that's all I'm going to say about that. But I do believe in these things. So and actually, I'll be going to it. I'm not painting. I see that as a problem. But okay. So back to Stephanie.
How
you doing? How you doing?
What did you say? Oh, I'm doing great. I just am a real life, it's not always so glamorous in the studio. Like, you don't know always the next step you need to take. You have to ask yourself, what if I do this? What if I do that? So I've been asking myself, this got moved a little bit. There we go. What if this whole time? And it's been working for me so far. Okay, so the things I want to do, I kind of like how this is more resolved, and this area is, more expressive. I love the strokes because that's always what I want to do in my paintings, is have an area of focus and then an area less in focus, because that's how we see. We can only focus on one thing at a time. I'm not a
Like a
hyper-realist.
quiet, like more quiet area.
Yeah, more quiet, or just less defined. You understand that this is his collarbone, even though it's very expressive and it's not as defined as this, because this is so defined. I don't have to paint everything to the same level of finish. And
Yep.
I don't want to, because,
Right.
my eye will label it. I'll look at it. If I painted everything, and painted every little muscle in this shoulder that I could see right before it goes off, my eye will look and say, great, it's a shoulder, and move on,
Right.
but
Yep.
I want to keep people engaged
Yep.
and have that abstract quality to my realistic painting. But there are some areas
What
that
can
need
you
a
get done? What can you get done in 10 minutes?
I can get a lot done. The things that need to get done, Joanne, are some highlights in the hair. I'm
Okay.
looking at it through the screen. I need to calm down this
Yep.
little area
Yep.
because it's not reading as shadow. And I think that's the most important part. So let's do that.
Okay.
Sometimes when you're finishing up a painting, it's not about adding more, but about, quieting what's already there.
Yep.
Because when it's the model's there from life, you see so much. And so you put a lot in, but
I
putting
agree.
so-
My
putting-
demos are a mess, but well, because I'm trying to get as much information as I can. So
Right.
I always say to people, "Oh, I have a lot of information here. I can easily finish this painting." And so they probably look at it like, "Oh my God, like, it looks like a disaster." But to me, everything I ever could possibly want is there.
Right. And so coming back the next day, we'll pretend it's the next day and not that it was, a little bit over a week ago. I see where I did that, like I had so much information here. So what I'm going to do is quiet this shadow shape. I like it. I like the texture that's happening, but I just need it to quiet down a little bit because it's taking attention away from his face. So I'm going to come in and just sort of caress over the top, but I don't want to lose the texture. That's something that I'm super interested in my work, is having interesting surface quality. Not just saying something well, but saying it interestingly, so that my eye, so that paint has a life of its own. I want the paint to, be able to show what it can do by having all this different texture. So let me just quiet this down and make this edge softer so that less information, there's less attention being drawn here. Wow. Okay. I feel like that made a big difference, just quieting that down.
Yep.
It looks cooler in the video than it does in real life. Of course, it's always going to be that way. But you come up here and see him as opposed to being totally distracted. So by all that's happening down there. Okay, so I've quieted this down. I want to soften this edge of his, whatever this muscle is. I don't need to know the name of the muscle, but I need to know that it's there. I always think about this. I remember studying with Rob Liberace and him saying, you don't need to know all of the anatomy. If you're not familiar with Rob Liberace, he can name every single thing that's happening underneath the surface, what its name is, everything. It's very admirable. I don't aspire to that, but I can take that information and work from that understanding. I know that there is something anatomically happening underneath here, and that this will be, it's something is running through here, making this tense action line. So I'm going to paint like that is happening underneath the surface. Okay, so that just became a lot less of a main player. And I'm going to even just soften this edge a little bit more, just with a light. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
That's disappearing. I'm going to soften this edge right into the hair, because the edge describes the form, okay? Hair is soft. Hair is different levels of, frizzy or controlled. When you see someone with extremely hairsprayed hair, It's unnatural because hair is not supposed to be stationary. So I'm going to play into that and show that his hair is there. Don't need to show all the individual strokes. I need to just show its hair by describing the edge. Okay, so I have less than 10 minutes here. We got to put some highlights in this hair.
Well, now
People
it's like 5 minutes.
Oh, I can do that. That's no problem.
I thought so.
It's not a big deal.
You're
it's
young.
like I'm painting.
You're young. You're energetic. You could do it.
So, if people, can I shout out my workshop right now?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So I am teaching a workshop. It is sold out. So sorry, you can't come to this one. Too late. It's next week in Utah, which I'm really excited about. So for those of you who are coming, I'm just so stoked. I'm really, really thrilled to go and
the inaugural workshop.
Yeah, I have taught workshops locally and I teach students locally, but this is the first one that's, sort of someone asked me to come. I'm just putting in some lyrical strokes to describe his hair, okay?
Yeah.
As I talk. So people need to ask a question, they can, but I gotta go faster. But that's okay. You can catch me again. I will not be teaching an in-person workshop. It's not on the books for this year because I got a busy year next year. But I'm going to be starting some online painting resources.
Good for you.
So those are not firmed up yet, so I can't send you to a link. But what I can say is to be the first to know, because it'll probably be limited access, go to my website, which is my name, Stephanie Paige Thomson. Maybe they'll throw that up on the screen or something.
We'll have it up there.
And sign up for my newsletter, okay? I am not good at sending frequent newsletters, so you will not be overwhelmed. But when I send stuff, it matters, okay? So don't be worried. It's not going to be overwhelming.
Somebody wants to know if you oiled out before you worked on that dry layer.
No, I did not.
Yeah.
I never do that. I've never done it up until now. I'm not saying I never would do that, but I never have because I'm really interested in texture, like I said. So I want to have that dry. I love working alla prima, but there's something, I was caged to alla prima for years because it's all I ever saw in workshops. And I thought that every painting you ever did was just all in one session. And I was so frustrated because I would look at these paintings that obviously were done in layers. And I thought I had to get those effects all at once.
Okay,
and when I
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
All right. Let me add some hair over here.
And then on top of it, one of our dog people, Dan Marshall, Dennis Marr, I think it's Dennis, wants to see your dog.
Oh, yes. Okay, he's staring at me right here. He comes and lays with me in the studio a lot more than I realized. Once I started paying attention to it, he will come in and he'll lay with me all the time. It's so sweet. I'll show him.
Sweet.
So I have to do that.
He's
a studio dog.
Yeah.
Okay. So folks, my goal was to quiet things down so that the face would be the main player, right? Okay, I'm going to come in closer so you guys can see and I'll show you my dog.
Oh, good.
I put in some detail of the hair. We can see that he has curls, but we're not drawing or painting. The closest we get to painting hair is this very unique and specific, interesting shape that happens to be hair. Listen to me, I'm like a preschool teacher. We're not doing this, but we are doing this.
It's beautiful, Steph.
Thank you. It's how, you don't always have to just leave the paintings. I always was afraid to go back into them to work more on them. But I think a lot of paintings languished for my fear of going in and saying, what if I do this? You can see where we softened that edge and brought it. You can see that much closer. See, I want this sort of accent or attribute in my work where you get close and it's abstract marks.
Yes.
And then you get away and it's a neck.
Exactly.
Even when you get up close here, there's, can't totally see, but all right, folks, thank you for joining. Let me show you my dog, okay? He's so cute.
There he is. Oh, he's so sweet.
He's a golden retriever and he's a good boy. And I keep saying I need to paint him. but
Yeah, you need to
he-
paint him. You have to
I
paint 'em.
know. He's
Yeah.
such a cutie.
Yeah.
Such a cutie. And this is my very glamorous studio. It really it's just the dining room of my house.
It
And
works. It
it
works.
works like a charm.
Yeah.
Works like a charm.
Yep. Well, I wish you great success. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, well, I had to.
It's been a pleasure and so enjoy it and so love you, Joanne. So thanks for inviting me.
Oh, thanks, Stephanie. I love you too. And I love your mom. I love your mom.
I love
really-
my mom too.
Oh,
I
yeah,
was
she's
so
great.
young going to all these workshops. Everyone in the art world knows my mom because she
Yeah.
comes with me and she
Yeah,
is
she's
she is
adorable.
awesome.
She's
Yeah.
adorable. I love her too. She's younger than me too, so that's good. I need more younger friends. My friends are
Age is
getting
just
old.
a number.
My friends are getting too old. So
I'm happy to be your young friend. No problem.
okay. All right. Thanks, Steph. We'll see you again soon.
Bye.
All right.
Thank you.
Oh, good luck with your workshop.
Thank you.
It's gonna be great. I know it. Okay, see ya. Bye. Bye. Hey, so Amandine let me know that with Realism Live, you get up to 365 days of replay depending on what ticket you buy. And and see, they do this. There's a cocktail hour every night and a paint along. So, and then Eric usually pops in and says hello, and there's conversation and stuff like that. So it's really cool. So, hey, we've come to the end of my birthday celebration. Today was the last day, but I'll be back. You're not going to get rid of me that easily. I just don't know when. But I've really enjoyed it. And I think, hey, Amandine, I think we can wrap things up, right? Is there anything I missed?
No, you mentioned everything, and I want to,
Oh.
since you make me pop up, then I will say thank you so much, and you did such an amazing job. You're a rock star, and you're like a natural host, and like Eric might.
He's got
He should be
competition.
careful. Yeah, like
Yeah.
maybe I'll pick you from now on, and I'm gonna get rid of him.
I don't know. So my husband used to say, well, he still says it. He says, "Oh, everybody loves you," and I always say to him, "No, not everybody." I can be a bit much to take at times.
No,
So.
well, you were perfect. So thank you so much for hosting this weekend.
Great.
Yeah, we'll definitely have you back.
Yeah, thanks. I really appreciate it. And bye to everybody. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it.